Good evening. It's 6:30. I'd like to go ahead and get started. My name is Kathy Tipton. I'm the chair of the election committee. I would like to welcome you all here tonight and thank you for coming to meet the candidates tonight. Just a couple of housekeeping items. You all know where the restrooms are, and if you have your phone with you, please turn off your phone, silence your ringers. You don't want to be that person. First of all, tonight is for learning a little bit more about the candidates. And I would like to let you know a little bit more about how we got here. So members have had an opportunity to learn about the candidates in two ways. First, the candidates have submitted their applications, which included their biographies. The applications are on the club's website. They were published in the newspapers, and they were also in the recently mailed update, which I printed out for you here, and hopefully you all have had a chance to take a look at the update, which you received in email. Next, the candidates answered 8 questions that were posed by the committee. These questions and answers were published in the newspapers. They were sent to members via e-blast, and they are available on the club's election website. And if you have not already done so, you can find the election website by logging onto our club's website, fairfieldgladeresort.com, log onto your member account, scroll to the 2025 Board of Directors election tile, and click Learn More. In addition to the information I've told you about already, this site includes information about voter eligibility, how to confirm your contact information, what your ballot options are, communications that have been sent out by the election committee, as well as voter instructions. So tonight, the focus for the event is about the membership, you, to learn about what we hope is new information about the candidates. The questions tonight were gleaned from about 20 questions that came from the membership, and those questions covered 8 main topics. The committee has prepared 8 questions which were provided to the candidates on Tuesday. I want to introduce the committee. We have Mike Sharrow in the back. He is our timekeeper. Dwight Merrick, who is unable to join us tonight. Sue Epler. Sue, where's Sue? Right here in front. She's going to be advancing our slides for us. Jean Donovan, who is unable to join us tonight. Greg Jones, our board liaison. Greg, where are you? He's right here. Pat Davis is our secretary. Pat's in the back. Also, we have Adrienne Salmon, who is our election coordinator liaison. The candidates tossed a coin to determine who would go first in the order, and Isaac Zucker will go first. Each question will alternate between the starting candidates. First, the candidates will have 3 minutes to introduce themselves. And question number 1, we did ask for a written response. Each candidate will have up to 2 minutes to read his written response. And after both candidates have spoken, each candidate will have up to 1 minute to comment. Questions 2 through 8, the candidates will have up to 2 minutes to answer the question. After both candidates have spoken, each candidate will have up to 1 minute to comment. In conclusion, each candidate will have up to 3 minutes to summarize. So we will start with Isaac. Isaac, the question: during the recent town hall meeting.
Oh, did you want to do an introduction? Were we doing an introduction?
I apologize. Yes, thank you.
I read the notes you sent me.
He did, yes. So first we will start with Isaac, and he will do his introduction. Thank you, Isaac. I did not have that in my notes.
Well, my goal was to get a laugh, so there we go.
And you did a good job.
No, well, and I am certainly not a Yep, sorry. I'll get it figured out. I am certainly not a typical candidate. I am 43 years old, and I don't live in the community. I actually went to kindergarten registration with my wife for our son this morning. So I guess, some people have brought that to my attention, that maybe you shouldn't be running for the board because you don't live in the community. And to be honest, you probably wouldn't want me to live in the community. My 5-year-old son would be out playing with his trucks in the bunkers. And though this is not an age restricted community, it is certainly an age targeted community in the amenities and how it's structured. But a little bit about me, because I feel like I have a very unique background that gives me perspective on the community. My parents moved to Cumberland County in 1979, and my father started an electrical contracting business, primarily working here in Fairfield Glade. So I grew up as a teenager working in this community. I went to university at Tennessee Tech and got a business degree. I came back to the community and started a home building company with my father, kind of as an encore career for him, and then he retired from the business, and we have been running that company here for just over 20 years now, building homes in the community. So to date, we've built a little over 200 homes in the community. So I see a lot of familiar faces here of homeowners that we've built for. And through that, it has given me perspective to understand what is important for the members, what, though I'm not living here in the community, I'm hearing that feedback from new members that are coming here all the time. And, it's been an honor to serve the community, and I hope to do that for the next 20 years, because I got a kid to put through school. So.
Thank you, Isaac. Bruce.
Good evening, everybody. I too see a number of familiar faces, some from the board meetings and some from just being in the community for as long as I've been here. I'm running again for re-election against the clock, as it were. The things that we've done for since I joined the board in 2022 are some real milestones. And I'll briefly name those, and that's the reserve study. Never been done before. Keeps us focused on what we need to do to maintain everything that we've built and everything we're going to build. For the first time ever, we created a 10-year capital plan with funding for 10 years to show where we're going to spend the money, our money, my money, your money, over the next 10 years for the things that everybody, probably most of you in the room, answered those questions in the surveys from the strategic plan that we also completed and put out a roadmap for that strategic plan. So those are three incredibly important things that I refer to as guardrails that'll take us into the next 10, 15 years, and we'll build on that for future board members. But as far as my background, I've been here about 20 years, pushing 20 years. I've been a homeowner here since 2007. I am embedded in this community. I love it. That's why I volunteered for the things that I do. And I'm your neighbor. And I just want to tell you that this is probably the most important thing that I have done in my career, because I believe so deeply in the commitment of what it means to give back to the community, to build things that go beyond me, not just homes, but the whole community. This is for our kids, our grandkids, the people that come after us, and we want to make sure that it's affordable, livable, and we keep growing at a good pace, the pace that'll keep our amenities up and our POA assessments manageable. Thank you.
Thank you, Bruce. Alrighty, now we will move to question number 1. During the recent town hall meeting, Declarant Tom Anderson stated at 1 hour, 34 minutes and 14 seconds, "I can't think of another way to unlock value for them. If you've got an answer of how you are going to unlock the value for the C lot owners, I would love to hear it. What would be your proposed plan for developing the necessary infrastructure, roads, and sewer?" Isaac.
Thank you. So, this question goes to the heart of fairness and property rights in Fairfield Glade. My plan for unlocking value for C lot owners centers on a market-driven, voluntary, owner-centric approach that respects state law and county law. The board's proposed amendment is not a plan. It simply delegates that authority, the authority to levy assessments against lot owners, to a single developer, Tom Anderson. Many of you are C lot owners, and your potential and value in these lots has been locked up for far too long. My plan is based on the model I demonstrated in Laurelwood, where I acquired C lots at a fair market value, significantly higher than what many of those owners paid initially. This created a viable investment opportunity for my company while increasing the value of these lots. The key is voluntary participation. My approach respects individual property owners' rights. I would never force owners to sell or advocate for a post-development assessment that could equal tens of thousands of dollars per lot. Development should only occur where there is genuine consensus and collaboration among property owners. This contrasts sharply with the proposed amendment, which grants the declarant unilateral power to decide where and when to develop and to levy assessments with the threat of foreclosure. How does that truly unlock value for anyone other than him? My plan empowers C lot owners to realize the value of their property on their terms without coercion or financial burdens. It's about creating opportunities, not mandates. Thank you.
Thank you, Isaac. Bruce.
First, let's be absolutely clear. The CNRs are the law, court appointed as a result of stuff that went on before, long before any of us were here. Those CNRs were developed. That's the law. That is what it is. It's like a bad marriage breakup. Somebody gets the kids, somebody gets the dog, somebody gets the house. We got stuck with the sewer. The declarant got stuck with deciding where the roads and water go. So let's be clear. And there is, I want to make sure that we understand that assessment. That's not ongoing. When the road is done for those C lot owners, it's done. That's one time, just the same way as the single availability for sewer that the community club puts in. The other issue for sure is anybody that lives in a house that has a road is not affected by this. The ones that we're trying to help are the C lot owners that can have multiple options once that road and sewer goes in. One, you don't have to tap into the sewer. Two, you can swap out that lot. You can hold on to it as it gains value. You can volunteer lot transfer back to the community. It's not like you're stuck with it. And as I understand it, you can place a lien, but then walk away from it then. I mean, there's no, who's to stop you from walking away from that C lot if you really don't think you want it?
Thank you, Bruce. Each candidate has 1 minute to comment, and Isaac, if you would care to comment.
I think I just want members to know, because I have been here for 20 years building and developing, and I have worked under the previous declarant, that the position that Anderson has taken to deny property owners their right to use county right-of-way to access their properties is completely novel. That has never been done before. As far as I can tell, he had an attorney review the CNRs, and he determined that he might be able to enforce that. But the fact is that the CNRs do not trump state law, and state law says that you have the right to use the county right-of-way to make improvements up to your property. And they do not fall under the jurisdiction of the CNRs.
Bruce, would you care to comment?
I'm not a lawyer. Simply put, though, the CNR amendment provides the most logical and simplest possible plan to meet our future needs and unlock the value of those C lots. The truth is that those CNRs have proven to serve this community extremely well. We are a thriving, prosperous community of nearly 10,000 people. We have an equity value of $100 million, and we have an operating budget of $30 million a year. This is not a chicken outfit. This is real, and we want to make sure that you can enjoy it for as long as you want to be here. Like me, I want to improve my property values, and my kid's sister can hold on to her C lot as long as she wants to. There's no stopping any of that.
Thank you, Bruce. Question number 2. Bruce, what role, if any, should the Fairfield Glade Community Club have in monitoring the pace of installation of roads and water and the billing of lot owners?
I'm presuming, and because of the first question, we're talking about new roads and new billings and everything about the declarant and the whole CNR amendments. The fact of the matter is, it makes sense that the Fairfield Glade, the community club, would be informed and updated as to where and when new roadworks go in, where water is, obviously, and where it's planned under construction. Because sewer is the responsibility of the community club, coordinating with the declarant to ensure the available resources are provided in a scheduled and timely manner is critical to success in everyone. It gets things done. It won't get delayed. It reduces the cost for everybody. And as to the billing, Fairfield Glade does not do any billing for the work of the declarant, period, full stop. That's a one-time assessment for the water and road that go into that C lot, and it gets upgraded from a C to a B or to an A. That billing, that's with the declarant. If you want the sewer, you're going to pay the assessment or the availability fee. If they want to get tapped into it and build on that, you're going to pay those fees. That's from the club. We just need to make sure that there's eyes on all of this work that's going on. So our senior management team, Bill Ward and his staff, or the people who work for him, are aware of what's going on in the community on construction and what needs to be done and monitored. Again, this is a, if you will, in its own form, a municipality. We've got people looking out for this stuff.
Thank you, Bruce. Isaac?
Well, I too took this question to mean, how will development be managed if this amendment passes? And I think it's important to remember that the board's primary responsibility is to represent the interests of the community and the members. not the developer. I have never seen the board push so hard to get something through that seems so one-sided for one party. As far as I can tell, when I read the actual wording in the amendment, the actual wording we're being asked to vote on, if this amendment is passed, the club will have no control over the development of C-lots in any of those areas. And the costs that are charged to members, they will have no control over that. The wording simply says, cost as determined by the declarant. That's what it says. That's what you're being asked to vote on. So, yeah, that is, the declarant can bring on new subdivisions. That's what he bought the right to do. Chestnut Ridge, Maple Ridge, that is his sole right. He did not buy the right to put assessments on private landowners' property.
Thank you, Isaac. Bruce, would you care to comment?
It's the declarant. That's the law. That's the Constitution that we're living with. And it's served us very well to where we are today. There is not ongoing assessment. It's a one-shot deal. Nobody in any business is going to do something without getting compensation eventually for what they're doing. Any business. All he's asking, the declarant is asking, is to be able to recoup some of that as that piece is completed. Oh, I can talk some more? All right. It's a one-shot deal. And we do have a conversation with them. You have to work together. Goodness gracious. This is a community of equals in that Constitution, in the CNRs.
Thank you, Bruce. Isaac, would you care to comment?
I would just add that as someone who has developed property before, I have never heard of a scheme where you get to charge the property owners for your development costs. Never. That's completely novel. That is what you do as a developer. You take risk, you put your own capital at risk, and you think long and hard about where you spend it so that you make sure it's where there will be a return on that, where members actually want to buy the properties you're developing. But a scheme that lets you put that cost off on the property owners is, to me, unheard of and not acceptable.
Thank you, Isaac. Our next question. Do you believe future development in Fairfield Glade is needed? Why or why not? Do you believe further development will assist in keeping member fees low and with minimal increases yearly? Isaac.
So the short answer is yes, absolutely. I think that's kind of a simple question. Continued growth helps generate interest and attract new residents, which is vital for the long-term sustainability of the community. More members here distributes that cost for operating our facilities. When people come here, most people buy a resale home, but there are certainly a huge buyer group, around 120 homes a year that are being built here. People come here that want a new home. That is their retirement dream. And I think that is going to be a challenge going forward for this community to make sure that we have available properties to build new homes on if we want to attract new members. And quite frankly, my concern with this amendment is that it's an anti-competitive move. We're talking about giving all the control of the future land as it gets developed to one entity that, a lot of people aren't aware of this, builds less than 20% of the homes in our community. They're building about 20 homes a year is how many Anderson is building. So you have over 80% of the construction is happening by a handful of other builders, 25 plus builders. There is no guarantee Anderson will sell any of these lots to the other builders. That will be at his discretion if he chooses to do so. And my experience in working with the declarant and the previous declarant is they don't like competition. You can charge more if you don't have any competition. That's just been my experience.
Thank you, Isaac. Bruce?
Well, for the first part of it, I agree wholeheartedly with Isaac on the future development. Yes and yes. Yes, we're going to need to continue to grow. Yes, we need to do that to keep our assessments manageable. I think the part that needs to be added to on that is in order to attract homeowners, if you looked at the recent survey that came out, that I hope all of you got to see the results, folks moving in here now want more of the good things that we have. And to keep up with that, we have to agree to sell more homes or provide a range of homes available for them. So it makes sense to have more than one builder do any of this stuff. But we need to add more amenities and keep this growing. We anticipate, I'm thinking close to 200 a year as opposed to 125 a year to keep up. We've got inflation. We know all of these costs go up. Look at the price of anything over the last 2 years. We know things are going to get more expensive. We showed that in our 10-year capital plan. We see that in our funding for the reserve study to make sure that we can keep up with this. We have to bring people in. We have to have planned, managed growth. Everybody wants more meeting rooms. They want more gathering places. We want more pickleball courts. We want more tennis. We want a lot of stuff. And the newer people coming in are willing to help us get there.
Thank you, Bruce. Isaac, would you care to comment?
Yes. So I agree with the statement that we need these amenities. We need that cost distributed among more members. I mean, I can say in the last 20 years, because I watch how many homes are built here, it averages between 100 and 120 years, with the exception of 2007-8 when it got over 200. And I hope the financial models aren't based on building 200 homes a year that you guys have been running. I'm not saying, I mean, that would be great if that many people are going to move here and we can build that many homes, but I have traditionally not seen that. There's kind of a pace, a tempo, if you will, for this community.
Thank you, Isaac. Bruce?
Well, if you unlock some of those lots that haven't been producing, those C lots that people want to get rid of and make profit themselves on it, we can build those homes. It's unlocking the value of an area that hasn't been developed for years and years. People have had those things for up to 30 years, and they don't want them. That's fine. Then let's develop it. But we'll develop it in a controlled, managed way so that we're not building helter-skelter and little clumps of homes. We want it managed. It makes sense for all of us. But we do need to grow. And that's a range. Some people were worried about, oh my gosh, we're going to build 400 homes in a year down here, and that's just going to look nasty. We're going to be overrun. That doesn't make sense for anybody. And Isaac is right. You can't move that many homes that fast.
All righty. Next question. Would you support the release of any agreement or contract between the Fairfield Glade Community Club and the declarant or any other business entity? Why or why not? Bruce.
Well, you know, It depends on which side of that contract you're on, okay? And who you're contracting with. I mean, there are reasonable arguments on both sides. And making public what you can, and that doesn't harm the other party in that contract, or jeopardize the negotiations that were going on, then yes, put out as much as possible. If you recall, there was this whole worry that when we did the reserve study, or when we've done other things, that the capital plan, oh my gosh, we didn't put everything up on the website immediately. What are we hiding? What's the conspiracy going on the back room that nobody was telling us about? The simple answer is there's very little of that. Some stuff just needs to be held tightly together to hold that contract and that negotiation together. That's just good business practice. That's just trust between two people that somebody, or two agencies, if you will. Those contracts are reviewed by lawyers and accountants and all representatives of the parties. Some of that stuff is really only the business of the parties engaged. It's not to hold something back and get bad surprises, because if it does, it eventually comes out anyway. But no, it depends on where you're at in the negotiations and the contract. It's not keeping deep, dark secrets.
Thank you, Bruce. Isaac?
So the short answer is yes, unequivocally. I would support the release of any agreement or contract between Fairfield Glade Community Club and the declarant or other business entities. I would certainly expect the board, if they're entering into agreements, to notify those parties that these, can be shared with the members if they request them. But to find out that our board is signing agreements with the declarant on our assets, terms surrounding this amendment, and is unwilling to disclose with the members what those agreements are, is to me concerning. And transparency is key with the board. The board needs the members' trust. We need a board that we can have confidence in and put our support behind, because they need the members to support them to do major capital projects and do the things that the board needs to do and make the hard decisions. And that is why those agreements need to be shared when the members ask for them.
Thank you, Isaac. Bruce, would you care to comment?
Well, if there's anything in there that would harm or give one or the other undue advantage in that contract that didn't make sense for us, you need to remember we are members, and all of us here live here. Why on earth would I want to do anything that jeopardizes myself or my friends and neighbors? We have a lot of responsibility that I really don't understand why there's anything that should be of worry on that. Much of this has already been released. I'm not sure that there's anything that hasn't been, tell you the truth. I don't know what it is you need to see that
Thank
it's
you,
already
Bruce.
known what he's going to pay for those lots.
Thank you, Bruce. Isaac, would you care to comment?
I'll just give a small example. The board signed an agreement in December to essentially grant the declarant control of all the club-owned C lots for the next 20 years, and he is paying the board $5,000 a year for that. Now, my first question was, wow, that sounds like the worst real estate deal ever. $5,000 a year for, like, how did they do that? And then I asked Greg, I said, are there any performance metrics tied to this? Those are the kind of things I'm asking for. And, or is the declarant just going to sit on all the club lots? People can't buy those lots anymore. They're controlled. That's the kind of thing we need transparency around, is what were the terms of that deal? How did that make sense? Because when I look at it on the surface, it does not make sense.
Thank you, Isaac. Okay, the next question, number 5. What do you see as the purpose and function of the board? What qualities do you see as needed to be an effective board member? Do you foresee any conflicts of interest if you are successfully elected to the board? If yes, how would you address any conflict? Isaac.
So, I have never been on a board, so I'm learning here. But my gut tells me that the primary focus of the board should be to represent the interests of the members and oversee the finances of the club in a responsible manner, to maintain the facilities and the amenities that we have, to not neglect those, to assess what the community needs, to anticipate that, and sometimes make tough decisions too that, you know, may not be the most popular, but the primary focus is to represent the members. And I have seen decisions made that, in my opinion, the board is representing the developer or the declarant more so than the members in some of these decisions. I think I spoke about the 20,000 or the 2,000 club lots, because one of the questions here, I guess you were asking if you foresee any conflicts of interest. That was also in here. You know, you recuse yourself if you have a conflict of interest. If they're asking about something that would pertain to my business, I don't vote on it. I abstain from comment. In December, the declarant's rep voted to give the declarant that control over the 2,000 lots. So there's that.
Thank you, Isaac. Bruce?
Well, let's start with the last one, the conflicts of interest. I haven't, and to my knowledge, any elected member of the board has, if they did, have to disclose any conflicts of interest. Well, I don't have a business. If you have a business that says, well, maybe you take 25 or 30% of your revenue for what you do out of your business out of Fairfield Glade, that's a conflict of interest with anybody else. So you're asking to be given the same amount of control if you're a board member at those meetings that's inside dealing yourself. That doesn't work. We are elected and we sign background checks to be guardians, stewards of a 501c4, which is a not-for-profit community organization. We live here. We love it here. Why? Nobody is against trying to harm anybody else. We love it here. We wouldn't be here all of these years. So we are guardians. We're stewards. And by law, when we sign that paperwork for the state, we are obligated to be stewards of this. And as treasurer, I get audited every year. We have a CFO that had background in auditing and is a CPA.
Thank
He
you,
knows this
Bruce.
stuff.
Isaac, would you care to comment?
No, I'm good.
Thank you. Bruce, would you care to comment?
Yeah, let's go back to what you're supposed to do on the board. There's a whole list of stuff, but we're supposed to do 4 things. We have 4 areas of focus, the things that we have to do. And that's governance. Make sure we comply with all state and federal regulations. We have financial responsibilities. And by the way, those people that are on the finance advisory committee, they're your neighbors too. They live here. They're looking out for their best interest, which is our best interest. We have an obligation to look at strategy, long-term strategy, so that this thing continues another 50 years. We're merely teenagers as a community. We want this thing to go right for another 50 years, and that's what the whole strategic plan is about. So we have a responsibility.
Thank you, Bruce.
My head's faster than my mouth, sorry.
Okay, next question. What process would you use to evaluate when amenities need to be improved, added, expanded, or off-boarded? Bruce.
Oh my gosh, have I got a list? Because that's what this whole teamwork is about. But in one small, short word is, it's a structured, evidence-based process that blends data analysis with stakeholder interests. And the stakeholders are the members and the management team and the guests and anybody that comes here and lives here and the outside communities. So we collect the data to assess performance of our amenities. Are they paying their own way? Which leads us into the things of, are we utilizing it enough? And then we go, or utilizing it properly. Then we engage the stakeholders. Tell us what you think. Focus groups and the like. Then we benchmark against other like communities. And then we make sure it's aligned with our strategic vision. All of the things that the board, the general manager, the chief financial officer, the senior management team work together to make sure that this is a good running, healthy organization that people want to come and live here and to enjoy their retirement or just come as guests to golf. My goodness. All of those things that make Fairfield Glade. That's what we do as part of the everyday work that's done. And then we evaluate what we need to do to keep that going. And that means adjusting our POAs and our fees and unlocking other resources to keep us going.
Thank you, Bruce. Isaac.
So I would like to say, in general, I feel like the club does a great job of maintaining amenities and listening to the members, collecting feedback. I would have to believe, it needs to be, like Bruce said, a data-driven approach. We need to not make decisions based on our gut feeling. We need to do this, we need to do that. You need to look at the hard numbers. You need to survey the members, look at trends in similar communities, what to anticipate member amenities. But, we also need to ensure in our spending that we are maintaining our existing facilities and that we are properly funding the reserve fund to maintain these amenities. We can't just go out and start building amenities because we want to build them. You know, it all has to be done in a financially responsible manner. And, you know, one thing I don't know the extent that the community has done, but I certainly hear it from working with our homeowners from across the country, is that, you know, they are not just looking at Fairfield Glade. And I feel like the board or its people need to be looking at competing communities very closely and learning how we win people to come to Fairfield. Because we're not on an island here. We are competing against these other communities. People have options to go, and I don't want this community to fall behind and lose people that, you know, should be here in Fairfield. So,
Thank you, Isaac. Bruce, would you care to comment?
Yeah, thank you. You just nailed our strategic plan and what we did for the last 2 years and just published. Yeah, that's why we fund and are funding the reserve so that stuff doesn't fall down and stays up to date. And we do surveys. We've got active ones now that you've seen the emails that you can participate in quarterly. I think it's quarterly. We benchmark constantly. We have to look around. You're right. We are in competition with other communities like us. Ours, however, is a bit more unique than most of them. We are as much looking like a municipality as we are a resort, as a retirement community. So we have got all sorts of wonderful things here. We're like a unicorn. We're kind of a
Thank
nice
you,
place
Bruce.
that's beautiful, and we want to keep it that way.
Isaac, would you care to comment?
yeah, well, I mean, I do agree. I mean, this is a beautiful community, and, you know, they're not building golf courses like we have anymore, or the lakes and the different amenities that we have. You know, there is a lot going for this community. And I just want to see the board stay on top of what we need to be doing to stay relevant, but we also need to do it in a financially responsible manner. You know, I don't see from where I'm sitting into the finances enough to know, was the new clubhouse we're building, was that the best financial move? I don't know. You know, it seems like a big spend, but, you know, maybe it's all good and it's going to attract members to come to our community. I hope so.
Thank you, Isaac. All righty. Question number 7. If you were proposing changes to governing documents, what might they be and why? Isaac.
If I was elected, one of my primary focuses would be to do a thorough and critical review of the governing documents. These documents have served us well for the past 50+ years, 55 years. But they need to be modernized to reflect the members' interest. And quite frankly, the board still relying on the original law firm that wrote these CNRs 55 years ago. You know, I believe that outside counsel should be sought to review those. We have a major issue in this community that may be remedied with Wyndham pulling out, but through the timeshares and Wyndham's property, and I don't know that how many people know this, but Wyndham controls over 1,700 votes, I believe it is, which is a lot when you look at how many members actually vote. And I don't know how many people know that the current declarant used to be the head of real estate acquisitions for Wyndham, and I have to believe that he controls that vote. It certainly would appear so, and that is a big structural change that we need legal counsel to go through these CNRs, and that deck needs reshuffled to put the power back to the members to control their community rather than a 1,700 vote swing whichever way the developer wants it to go.
Thank you, Isaac. Bruce?
Well, I can tell you that the board collectively reviews our governing documents as one of our areas of focus, and we do that as part of our regular duties, that and the bylaws. And yes, the governing documents are reviewed by council regularly. The reality is that you're right. It takes 3/4 of the voting members to make a change to the governing documents as an amendment, just the same as the Constitution. It doesn't matter which law firm you talk to. That's the way it works. You want to change, then you vote for it. That's it. There's, if you don't know how to vote, ask your neighbor. Ask the admin. It is your responsibility to vote, but it's your responsibility to get facts, not innuendo, not accusations, not hearsay. If you think it's good, then come and ask somebody. Ask somebody that has, by definition, liability to make sure that it is correct, that it's honest. There are mistakes. There's always mistakes and stuff. But like our audits, they're audited. You think somebody's going to, almost slipped up, mess around with something? You don't do that. That's crazy. Again, this is who we are. You don't make stuff up. You don't hear it on some social media attacking the credibility
Thank you,
of
Bruce.
people. Look it up.
Isaac, would you care to comment?
Well, I'm certainly not making up the number of votes that Wyndham has, and it's a lot. And it is all fine. We want member participation. To be honest, that's why I'm running. I wanted the members to get out and get involved and to try and communicate that message. But the reality is, if members understand that 1,700 votes are already going one way or the other, it's kind of disheartening probably for a lot of them. And they say, what's it matter if I vote? It's already been decided. And that's just not a good situation for the community. That's not what we want. And I would add on the CNR amendment, I think it's important for people to remember that when we talk about 75% of the members have to vote for it, that's counting all the 1,700 Wyndham votes. So the threshold is probably only like 40-some% of the members have to vote for it.
Thank you, Isaac. Bruce, would you care to comment?
Vote. Find out the truth. That's fine. There's, it's just that I have to tell you, okay, as a candidate, I see some of the stuff that goes out there, and people put things on social media as if it's gospel. As I heard that this is this, and this is what it is, and it isn't. It's like the old telephone game, that we used to do as kids. By the time it got to the fourth person, whatever it wasn't what it started as. It's something completely different. It's the same sort of thing. If you have a question, ask. And if it's at all possible, you'll get an answer. That's our obligation to the membership. Nobody's going to lie to you. That's not, for one thing, I don't have that good a memory anymore to lie, to figure out which one it was. So
Thank you,
please
Bruce.
ask.
All righty. Question number 8. We often hear lack of transparency when it comes to the board. Nearly all organizations have many ways of informing their constituents via newspapers, social media, websites, live streaming services, and such. What does transparency mean to you? Bruce.
I love this one because there's two sides to this. So I'll speak as a candidate right now. And I may not like the decisions that come down from the board as an individual. I don't care for them. But and how it may impact me on that issue. But if I don't get what I want on it, I don't think it's in the best interest of me long term even to think that the board is not being transparent. Now I'm going to put my board hat on because in well, not every, but very many of the board meetings and workshops, you've heard from council, you've heard from the general manager, you've heard from others that have been around this business a long time and in other environments. This board is about as more than transparent than any of them that they have seen. We are as transparent as possible. That's our obligation. That's our commitment. You know, if I like the source and I like the answer, then they're being transparent. If I don't like it, well, they're either lying or there's some sort of conspiracy that you're trying to hoodwink me. That's not logical. It doesn't make sense. So think these things through. We make decisions on the board level that are as transparent as we possibly can with explanations. And if we're wrong, we'll admit it and try and correct it.
Thank you, Bruce. Isaac.
I guess I could say all the things about what transparency means, and it is very important because we need the members to be engaged, and if they don't feel that the board is being transparent, they will not be engaged. You know, we want an engaged community. You know, and I think it's not so much, it's not exclusive to like, we didn't release this document or not. Some of it's how the board conducts meetings. I was speaking with some of the previous board members about what would be normal practice for when you want to make a big move on something. Like say you want to commit 2,000 lots to the developer for the next 20 years. You would put that information out in a meeting, and you would float it for 30 days and get comment from the members. You would not do what the current board did, which is to bring it up in a meeting and vote on it right there, just before Christmas, when no one is around to say, hey, let's talk about this. That's not, in my opinion, transparent behavior.
Thank you, Isaac. Bruce, would you care to comment?
Well, yeah, some decisions, just like when, I'll give you a practical example, that we do it, and this is a board issue. When we put in sewer, you know why you don't know in advance? Because somebody unscrupulous, I got it, could come in and say, you know, you see a lot there. I tell you what, I'm interested in this. How about if I give you maybe $500 more than that? You don't do that because somebody is at a disadvantage with knowledge that nobody else has, that other people don't have. We sent out 4 letters to the individuals. Nobody knows what's going to happen until it happens to them. The person, that individual knows. Not everybody in the world knows,
Bruce.
so you can show.
Isaac, would you care to comment?
I mean, I think back to my point. Big decisions like 20-year commitments with club assets should get some feedback from the members over whether we think that's a good idea or not. After that decision, I talked to Greg Jones and I asked, did you request feedback from any other builders about this? Did you request feedback from anyone in the real estate community? And the truth is there was no request for that. And I think had that been put out to comment, the board might have gotten some really insightful comments from people in the community that hopefully would have changed their mind on that decision.
Thank you, Isaac. Let's thank the candidates for all their comments. In conclusion, each candidate will have up to 3 minutes to summarize, and we will begin with Isaac. Isaac.
So, a couple of, I guess, key things for me that I feel like need to happen in this community is we need to modernize the CNRs. And I'm not saying, oh, I don't like the rules, so we need to change them. I just feel like there are things dealing with voting and who has the amount of power that they have that with good outside legal counsel reviewing this, the members are probably not quite getting their fair shake, is my opinion, and based on the opinion of research that I have paid for at my own expense. I think we need a board that represents the members' interests first, and they may think that they're doing that, but I think that some of the decisions they have made certainly do not do that. They are representing the declarant. And we do need a board that is more transparent, that will share documents that need to be shared with members, that will put things out for public comment and take that scrutiny before voting on big decisions. And I guess my closing statement that I want to say is that I love this community, and the last thing I want to do is run to be on the board. So if I win, I'm going to immediately demand a recount. But, you know, I want to do what I can to help the community. I feel like my kind of unique position working with new homeowners that are moving here all the time from all over the country gives me an understanding of what they're looking for in a community and what is important to them and what they like and don't like here. And I just feel that I could be of value, I could be a voice of reason if I was on the board to provide input. I have certainly a unique skill set being a home builder that works here in the community and has been working here for the past 20 years. In some ways, I think I have a perspective that is, you know, maybe deeper than a lot of members because I've been here for that long, even though I don't live here. I have been working with members and
Thank you,
understand.
Isaac.
Thank you.
Bruce.
Well, I've been here almost 20 years, living here. Bought a house here, worked in the community in a number of capacities, different committees, different volunteer organizations within the community. And it's been a great progression over these last several years of how we've seemed, even with these, as defined, problematic CNRs, we've grown from, when I got here, it was maybe 3,000 people. We've grown to 10,000 people. It's a $100 million outfit. This is $30 million a year budget. We're bringing in people. This last month was 153 homes built in construction. So we've grown. Our budget, I've only been on the board now since 2022. And in those 3 years, we have done things and grown the community that are notable. We're at a place where we have the capability and the capacity to grow double. It's going to take us another 30 years, but we have to have the plan to do that. And we've done that. And we continue to do that with the work of the board, the senior staff, and the general manager and chief financial officer that we've got here. We've been working on this. Nobody has lost money being here. Nobody has lost value in their property being here. Nobody has had to have a special assessment that was imposed that could be done. We haven't had to do that. We're in robust, good financial health. We're growing. Yeah, we got stuff to do. That's why we have a strategic plan. That is why we have a 10-year capital plan that's updated. And it isn't going to fall apart because we finally got around to the first time in its history a reserve study that we're funding, and we can see what needs to be done, when it needs to be done, and how to adjust to react to those things. It's called planning. Now, plans are, the first time you have an emergency, the plan's shot. It's planning that's important.
Thank you, Bruce. Let's thank the candidates again. In closing, I would like to thank you all for coming. Please feel free to stay after to speak with the candidates. I would like to remind everyone that voting begins on Monday, August 11th. You will receive your electronic ballot on that day, Monday, August 11th. If you don't receive your ballot in the email, be sure to contact the administration office and ask for member records. Voting ends Friday, September 5th at 11:59 p.m. Make sure to return your ballot. Thank you very much for coming. We appreciate it, and good night.
Good night.